too loud, too frantic in your bids to justify yourself to ears that tuned out long ago. That's your flaw. You believe volume equals validation. If you argue hard enough, they'll relent. But it doesn't play that way, kid. The more you shout, the frailer you appear. They crave the outburst. That's the entire ploy. They jab, they needle, praying you'll crack so they can gesture and declare, "See? We knew it all along." You're dancing to their tune without even noticing. Scan your surroundings. Really look. The ones who howl the fiercest harbor the feeblest fangs. They thrive on turmoil, devour it, require it like oxygen, strip it away, and their hollow husks feigning relevance. They erect flimsy fortresses of deceit and observe you dash to topple them. But here's the revelation. You needn't engage. Simply retreat, stay mute, and let the waves claim their due. Truth possesses an odd habit of rising, regardless of how fiercely they attempt to submerge it. You mistake quiet for frailty, don't you? That failing to counter means forfeiture. Yet true, deliberate quiet is a blade keener than any retort. It's a reflector compelling them to confront the grotesqueness in their own image. They'll fracture internally, probing your depths. You needn't raise a hand. Merely cross your arms, recline, and behold the spectacle. You're squandering vitality, repairing the irreparable. Certain souls carry decay in their marrow. No logic will alter that. They seek not comprehension, but dominion, to erode you until you swallow their fabrications. Yield a fraction, and they'll seize the entirety. That's parasitism. They cling and siphon until you're vacant and drained. Sever them abruptly, decisively. Let them gag on the void. Responses empower them. That glint in your gaze as they spew venom, that's their sustenance. Your rage, your exasperation, your anguish, it's all kindling for their blazes. Deprive them, grin if necessary, or pierce through them as if they're specters already. You owe no one justification for your existence. Let them prattle. Words cost nothing. Deeds, however, etch permanent marks. Cease justifying. Commence demonstrating. To endure this realm, master the might of quiet. Authentic authority demands no proclamation, no validation. It simply exists. The lion pays no heed to sheep's judgments. You're striving to disprove the monster they've sketched. But hear this, kid. Once minds are set, no utterance will sway them. Conserve your breath. Envision chess. The king doesn't charge the board to assert royalty, does he? Number. He advances deliberately, each move a computation. Pawns surge ahead, sacrificial and frantic. Emulate the king. Permit them to exhaust themselves pursuing you. Force them to labor for every advance. When they're spent, faltering, bewildered, that's your moment to act, not sooner. Most are foreseeable. They yearn for audience, visibility, significance. That's their vulnerability. You, however, can diverge, become the hush that disquiets, the enigma they can't solve, the tempest that holds. Be the specter haunting their nights, speculating, agonizing, unraveling in attempts to decipher you. That's dominion, not in clamor, but in the stillness thereafter. It's ironic how they excavate their tombs, endeavoring to enter you, how they bear their frailties, dragging you low. Permit it. Truth percolates, sluggish and unsightly, defying suppression. Exercise restraint. Clamp your jaw until it aches, but deny them the pleasure of your fracture. Endurance, kid. That's the contest. Await your hour. They'll self-annihilate, craving your response. Such types exist on loaned moments. Deceptions, treacheries, false grins, all bear tolls. Eventually masks fracture, card towers collapse. Maintain purity, observe. They omit this in vengeance tales. The finest requires no exertion. They stumble into their pitfalls, face-planting in self-wrought chaos. Retreat, interlock arms, let them combust. No fury, no eruptions, no frantic orations, just icy, unwavering hush. Departing isn't frailty. Rejecting their ploys isn't cowardice. It demands fortitude to restrain when instincts howl for combat. It commands might to meet their stare and utter naught. Let them believe triumph. Grant their petty wins. The true conflict is protracted, grinding, savage, and most lack endurance. You possess it. You've absorbed dorsal stabs, extracted them unflinching, endured murmurs, falsehoods, charges, and persist, erect. That reveals volumes. Most would have crumpled, groveled, pleaded, not you. Hence their loathing. You defy shattering, refuse submission. It infuriates them that assaults rebound, leaving you chillier, more reticent. So hush, kid, endure. Let them conspire, chatter, burrow. They'll entomb themselves. When mired in self-inflicted fallout, you may grin, subdued, glacial, fulfilled. By then, they'll comprehend. Quiet was no frailty. It was omen. They anticipate clamor, disorder, retaliation to provocation, but your unflinching poise, that frigid, unyielding scrutiny, it burrows, twitches their digits, stumbles their speech. They expect battle, outcry, rationalization. Your absence compels them to occupy the void with self-doubt, terrors, pitiful frailties. That's their undoing, strand by strand, persuading control. While you halted participation, they forfeited dominion. Hence persistent prods. They require your collapse to validate, but you won't. You'll uphold that granite composure, that disarming serenity, leaving them ceiling gazing at 3 a.m., pondering your depths. The fiercest cries are unspoken. The deadliest have perfected reticence. They're wagering on your urge for clarity, exoneration. That's the lure, glistening, enticing. They desire your frantic spill to deaf ears, but you're wiser. Justifications are pitfalls, veiled as reconciliation. More you clarify, guiltier you seem. More defense, more concealed. So mute, let them weave deceits, partial truths. While they expend breath, you observe, await, catalog slips, fissures, discrepancies, difference. They speak to banish quiet. You flourish within. They deplete, seeking echo. You endure, frigid, letting words deepen sepulchres. Most can't abide hush. It squirms them, compels reflection, and most prefer self-laceration over introspection. Not you. You've communed with thoughts sufficiently to wield quiet as armament, the lancet slicing falsehoods, the glass revealing beasts. You've witnessed fidgeting, faltering under wordless return, voices pitching, hastening, frantic to plug emptiness, almost comical, darkly. They're unraveling while you stand, arms folded, gaze icy, voiceless. That's authority, kid, not decibels, but composure amid provocation. You deem vengeance parity, inflicting mirrored pain, but enduring vengeance from hush, departing sans-glance, denying bleed view. Nothing enrages more than realizing insignificance significance to fracture you, schemes, murmurs, nocturnal blades, unworthy of reply. That insomnia fuels, uncertainty if you're observing, scheming, awaiting precision, or transcended, leaving them to fester in remorse, dread, hushes, elegance, eternal ambiguity that gnaws terminally. They assume quiet signals conquest, capitulation, tactic, tempest's prelude, inhale, preceding strike, far from finished, observing, awaiting, noting flaws, vulnerabilities, your reprisal, chilled, computed, precise, no squandered terms, raw sentiment, mute, savage efficacy, by realization, irreversible, hush grants planning, priming, transmuting slights to arsenal, unseen as they revel in presumed victory. You're patient. Vengeance prioritizes exactitude over haste. You've muted long suppressing fury, feigning their edge. But quiet isn't tranquility. It's mounting force, chambered round, sheathed edge. Inaudibility doesn't equate harmlessness. Contrary, the subdued, absorbing blows sans wince, grinning, blood-toothed, are perilous. Their snap, chilled, deliberate, terminal. No reprieves, compassion, verbose rationales. Pure deed, mute, total. Seal lips. Let them presume victory, mock, congratulate downfall, feign if needed, nod, perform. Each utterance, smug leer, murmured lie, additional coil self-encircling, await their cinch, inevitable. They implode, requires duration, abundant hush, retreat, purity, witness inferno, flames subsided, their remnants cinders, remorse. You, erect, mute, intact, that glacial grin conveying all, hushes splendor, their self-strangulation on deceits while you remain unscathed. They deemed quiet, yielding, snare from inception, words, irrevocable, proof, munitions, twistable, hush, impregnable, no vulnerabilities, inconsistencies, tethers, void they can't occupy, maddening, reaction denial, foundation yank, self-doubt germinates, power questioned, errors follow, armor cracks, await cue, then act, subdued, swift, fatal, shadow blade, no alerts, pity, incision leaving hemorrhage pre-awareness, victory thus, not loudest roar, hardest blow, but unseen phantom, silent payment for affronts, treacheries, deafening, submerging wails. Hush persists, words dissipate, distort, vanish. True hush reverberates, specters. By comprehension tardy, you feel compelled to rationalize existence, actions. Oh, nothing, no motives, alibis, remorse. They missed your hemorrhage, ascent from abyss with splintered digits, fractured skeleton, nights, ceiling staring, chest crushing, mute. They glimpse facade, presume judgment rights. They'd shatter in your epidermis with recollection cicatrices. Hush, let them chatter, dub frigid, callous, merciless, don those as shield, preferable to verity, verity, weary of justifying, shielding, hemorrhaging for indifferent to your blaze. Halt justifying, halt shielding, let presumptions asphyxiate, kneel to establish. You pursue comprehension, but they shun it, would demand owning error, brutality. Most prefer demise over reflection. They invert, villainize you for self-solace. Fictional roles to slumber, reality stark, unsightly, no archetypes, merely terrified desperates ascending via trampling. Cease awaiting insight, advance unhindered. Let their binaries, contorted defenses, greater pursuits than sanction, ironic efforts isolating you, branding flawed. Truth, they dread your solitude, mute, intact. Your survival sans acclaim, endorsement queries their self-deceits. Hence hatred, not frailty, but fortitude to depart. Endure hush they can't, 5 minutes, sans void, howling for affirmation. You force self-confrontation, frightened youths craving reassurance. You require none. Hush-homed, second-skinned, terrifies supremely. Poetic, self-ruin pursuing yours. Sleeplessness, alliances, fragments lost provoking response. Your scar-collecting trophies with over-chilled razor grin. Halted justifying, enlightening that rankles. Defense feigned their sway. Now howling gales, raw palms, pounding sealed portal. Your leagues ahead, gaze ahead. Hush, shadowing. They misread quiet as voiceless. Error, volumes locked. Truths lacerating, recollections shredding. Sealed not frailty, but clemency. Unveiled depths would shatter, perhaps weary of shattering. Hush, soul remaining grace, or awaiting inferno ignition. They'll never discern. Hushes, shadows, close chest allure. Lifetimes pondering intent, desire, unspoken. Their fracture, guilt, deceits. Hush, overwhelming. They'll creep, vacant-eyed, trembling, pleading clarity. You'll grin, hollow, eye unreaching, and depart wordless. By then, known, quiet, no capitulation, omen, overdue heeding, by silence meaning realization, their submerged self-mire, floundering regret gagging. They'll replay interactions, frigid glares, sealed smirks, seeking overlooked signals, nocturnal torment, bloodshot, shallow breaths, sealing cursing louder than scream echo. They never grasped, words deceive. Hush, honest, brutal, no masquerade. Your defense halt, explanation cessation, worry cue. They mocked, self-congratulated victory. Now, cinders, unanswerable queries. True vengeance, not crimson contusions, but ignorance, consuming incrementally, each hush reminding unknowing you. They'll probe, murmur secluded, assemble fragments, futile, truth interred profound, shadow entwined behind long indifferent eyes. That slays, they prey, not hunters. You, frigid gaze, grave quiet, observed, awaited, noose gradual, prime destruction, permit self-ruin, retreat, arms interlocked, let guilt, frailties labor. They'll self-hang with rope, prod, deceive, twist, believing triumph, oblivious snare, mute, frigid, let them corner, inescapable. They'll brand heartless, merciless, monstrous, frenzied gaze, perhaps accurate, but honest, no pretense. Monsters need no justification, rationales for departure, hush trail, scorched spans, execute necessary, frigid, effective, debris for others, perhaps villain in their narrative, irrelevant, archetypes, same deception, varied garb. You endure, inhale, progress, Retain tails, binaries, vacant regrets, greater than past revision for unwilling comprehension. Difference, you ceased retrospection long ago. Ruins, cinders, no what-ifs, some irreparable, unsalvageable, unforgivable, learned via crimson fists, insomniac nights, bone-carving hush, halted, justifying, remorse for identity, decisions, incinerated links. Some merit no justifications, closure, deserve self-left hush choke, and they will, not today, perhaps tomorrow, but deceits pursue. They'll survey vacant chambers, resonating corridors, alone, each betrayal, murmur, ploy, repelled, caring souls. Then guilt, isolation, hush and close, they'll return, downcast, fracturing tones, stammer worthless apologies, flat explanations, claim transformation, regret, unintended, tardy. You've advanced, walls unscalable, words rebound, frigid rock, betrayal, unidirectional, blade interred, irretrievable. You'll discern realization, game over. Hush, no intermission, but barricade. They can howl, implore, beseech, unheard. You've throned hush, no apologies, dismantle. That's fracture, not your outcry, combat, but wordless aversion. Frigid gaze, resolute stride, true hush, demise, terminal, coffin nail. Some prefer self-exsanguination over confrontation. Not you. You've witnessed, hemorrhaged, forfeited sufficient. Some better interred. Some merit no bleed depth knowledge. Wound cessation duration. Let wonder, nocturnal torment over terms, glares, unreturned calls, drown in self-forged hush, no duty to rescue, no cause retrospect, chances granted, justifications, excess mercy, they scorned, mocked, deepened twist with false grins, vacant vows, now nothing, no closure, replies, reprieves, hush, frigid, infinite, total, perhaps cruel, callous, but liberates from deceits, ploys, betrayal, apology loop, meaningless, liberates advance, frigid gaze, erect spine, sans their guilt burden, that's their terror, your needless them, acclaim, false grins, vacant terms, better solitary, stronger via hush, cicatrices, incinerated spans, sans hesitation, hence hatred, murmurs, drags to ploys. Your survival, hush thriving, exposes their frailty, so proceed. Let hush extend vast, obscure behind. Let spans smolder to dust. Murmurs, charges dissolve to noise. Kneel to establish, justify, regret. You face their worst, emerged chillier, firmer, mightier, and that kid is all vengeance required.